people that will be affected. Lord, just ask you to be with us today as a county commission to help us make all decisions based on the best interest of all the citizens in Montgomery County. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Lawrence, what do we have?
First, we'll go over our visitors for today. We'll hear from City County Emergency Management Agency Director Christy Thornton, our Sheriff Derek Cunningham, Grant Manager Regina Walker, County Engineer George Speak, Manager of Public Affairs Hannah Hawk. We will also hear from the Executive Director of CASA, the Court-Appointed Special Advocates for Children, Charity Alpert, President and CEO of the Montgomery Housing Authority, Damon Duncan, and Director of Corporate and Community Partnerships, Becky Connolly from the Alabama Kidney Foundation, and Shannon Morrell, the Regional Director.
Okay.
So we'll start with Christy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In reference to our COVID update, Alabama has 363,228 confirmed COVID cases. The state of Alabama has tested 2,144,425 citizens. And unfortunately, we have lost 6,171 citizens from our state. Montgomery County has a confirmed number of 19,076 confirmed COVID cases. Of our 89,599 have been tested, we have lost 326. That light that you spoke about, we have had a distribution of 772,275 vaccines have been delivered to our state, and our state has already administered 359,589, one of which was in Montgomery County Saturday. We are proud to say we exceeded our 1,000 doses and actually were able to administer 1,100. People question, how did we do that? We didn't short anything, but every vial has 11 doses in it. And due to the very expertise pull on every one of those vials, we were able to get all 11 out of each one of them. So that added an additional 100 people that we were able to vaccinate Saturday. Starting Monday, I know we've already heard the news from the governor and state health officer. It's opening up to Category B, which will include all first responders, corrections officers, food and agricultural workers, U.S. Postal Service workers, manufacturing, grocery store workers, public transit workers, people who work in education sector, our teachers, support staff, community colleges and higher education, our child care workers, as well as our judiciary, meaning circuit judges, district judges, and our district attorneys. That is going to be huge, especially since we have more vaccination clinics coming. There will be an announcement later on this week on the dates, but it's coming. We have partnered with Baptist Health, and so this is going to be a huge asset to Montgomery and everything we have coming. It's going to need some patience. We know there's traffic issues. We'll line up for brand new shoes coming out. We'll line up for the Alabama National Fair. Well, I'm glad to say people lined up Saturday, and we were able to get them in. From point of check-in to actually administering into your arm was about a wait time of 20 minutes. Yes, there was a line when you have people lining up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we couldn't start till 9. Commissioner Sankey, I heard you were a bumblebee out there just inoculating as many people as you could, and I appreciate you coming and volunteering your time. Commissioner Singleton was right there with me most of the day at check-in, validating who was there, having to make sure that we issued out the numbers, because we were actually putting numbers on people so we could keep up. We didn't want people waiting in line if they weren't going to be able to get that vaccine.
He wouldn't give nobody shots, was he?
Who was? Singleton, no.
I'll give you one, come on.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sankey was.
I know Sankey
He was a boss out there Saturday, so I just greatly appreciate y'all's support, y'all being out there and being a part of our team, knowing it was very many people out there. It was a huge undertaking. It was the first of our area to be able to do this. It was a logistical crazy plan, and Ms. Janai's our new MA planner. That's her first plan. It was adopted by the state. It was set to be for our employees, but due to their plan and their distribution, they asked us to make it public. So that was a big thing for Montgomery to be able to host that and to bring that to our community and get that many people vaccinated. Please know there are more coming.
Chrissy, what is the allocation for Montgomery County?
You know,
I'm sorry?
what is the total allocation for Montgomery County? How many?
We don't have that exact number, sir. I'm sorry. That would go through the health department. They won't
Is
tell me
there any
exactly
way-
how many getting, because some of them go to private providers. One thing Montgomery Fire Rescue is trying to do with our Dr. Austin is trying to become Montgomery, be our own provider. So we'll actually get a federal allocation as well as a state allocation. We're working on those.
So there's no way to know what that number is?
Not right off,
publicly?
sir. No, sir. I don't have that number, and they're not putting it on any of our websites.
Okay.
It goes off population. The state gets so many, and they divide it amongst the 67 counties, whatever that number is for the week that they get. It's delivered every Tuesday.
And we're like 200-some thousand people, and so far we have, what, like 14,000 people vaccinated?
The thought process is they go along with the people. So if we have 20,000 people over 75, healthcare workers and first responders, they can only give us a percentage of what that total number is. That's all they can do. They only go with what the category is as far as the percentage that we get.
So it should open up after the 7th then?
Yes, sir. That actually adds an additional 1 million people for the state of Alabama. And unfortunately, people that didn't complete our census last year are hurting us right now, because that would have helped us be able to get more vaccines allocated to us.
Okay.
Chris, I just want to thank you for your expert coordinating skills. We appreciate you. And just real quickly, want to give a shout out to Troy University School of Nursing for giving me the skills to be the bumblebee.
Absolutely. You're it.
Christy, thank you. I got to witness you being there 4:30 in the morning, staying to 7:30 on your feet all day. I think you said you took 20, I don't know how many miles of steps, but 24,000 steps, something like that. But you and your staff did a really a wonderful job.
Thank you.
It was amazing to see the entire mall parking lot being wrapped around as a maze of cars down McGee Road, all the way past Fieldcrest that were backed up on McGee Road. So some people had to stay in line 4 hours. But as soon as we opened the gates, and I mean, it flowed through, people like Isaiah volunteering to come and administer the shots. It was really remarkable. And yes, I've seen your heart on Christmas morning. I saw your heart Saturday. Thank you to you and your staff for what y'all do for Montgomery County.
Yes, sir. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. And that was one thing that was great to see, is it was all we could do to keep up with y'all inoculating. Y'all were doing such an amazing job. By 2 o'clock, we didn't have a line, and we still had plenty of vaccines. So hopefully people take that into consideration and not think they have to be there super early. There are multiple dates coming, so just be patient and know it's coming. And we're trying to work on that light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Now we'll go over the items to be considered on the agenda. We will have, consider the alcohol license application for special events for another Latino festival. Consider a resolution and order authorizing certain action with respect to general obligation warrants, Series 2021, a refunding obligation. Consider an MOU to fund the salary for a full-time referee in juvenile court. Consider a contract with PH&J Architects regarding improvements and repairs, painting of floors and lighting upgrades for Detention Facility 1. That contract is now included in your packets.
Okay. Plus, I didn't see any approximate cost on this.
No, this will just allow them to begin deciding, prioritizing the work to be done and putting together an estimated budget.
And then I noticed that I know initially, last meeting we talked, and my thought was that we were talking about painting the floors. But then when I look at the memo, there's some other stuff in there.
The way that project was first identified as a painting in the jail, it really was much more than that. It's replacing rusted door frames, painting cell blocks. And in fact, I think the floors have right. That work has already been done on the floors, and we were able to go ahead and do that in the last project.
So the floors have been painted?
Well, they were pots. it's a bare concrete floor that was polished and stained.
So now we're talking about, let's see here, issues finishing.
The sheriff and I had a meeting with, and his staff with,
Upgrade the lighting to LED, and I was talking to the sheriff earlier, there's some plumbing issues. What else?
Upgrade the lighting, painting, and the plumbing, that's it.
What we gonna paint? Well, I thought, we gonna paint the floors and
No, not the floors, the walls.
paint the walls?
Yeah. Yeah, not the floors. I don't want paint on the floors.
So this,
Is the plumbing in there? Is the plumbing in this?
well, I see plumbing, yes,
it's just to consider that and
Yeah,
make,
but if you got a plumbing bill in that old jail, like he said, you got to do more consider that's gonna get it fixed.
plumbing is a major issue.
Yeah.
correct, and that's the reason we sat down and met with him, and we would like for him to identify everything that needs to be done, and we can consider, because it would be much easier to coordinate with moving inmates to do everything that needs to be done when you can get a space available.
Okay, I understand that. It's just that when we decided to put it on the agenda, in my mind, we were just talking about painting the floors. And it seems that that's already been done, and these other things are here. So I just want to be clear.
And of course, before we go to bid with anything, you all will have knowledge of it, and
We'll make sure we have the money to pay for it.
that's, yes, sir.
All right. All right.
Consider the 2021 county employee blood drives. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Since we issued this, 2 have been added for Commissioner Walker, the Junior League of Montgomery for community service programs, and Women in Training for community service programs. Does anyone else have anything to add?
I need to add, Common Ground, $2,000. And, that's my child, 2,000. There was a slip somewhere.
And I wanna give, $5,000 out of my agency to give it, put it back with Sankey, Mr. Sankey and his agency.
Not agency,
You're not agency?
donated revenue.
Donated revenue?
Yes, sir. Got a big project coming up. Thank you, sir.
Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education. Does anyone have anything to add?
I need to add one there. Rebecca, intermediate, $1,000.
And is that for,
Principal's discretionary.
consider miscellaneous appropriations from designated revenue? Commissioner Singleton has added $5,000 for Dream Court. Are there any other additions?
Doug, you're doing the whole,
Yeah, unless you want to do a little bit of it. It's,
well, I mean, I was just gonna do 250, which doesn't help a lot, but, okay. I'll add, why don't we do this? I'll do 500, and Doug, you wanna do 4,500?
that'd be good, thank
I
you.
know it's not a lot of help.
No, that's, I appreciate it, yeah, it's a good program, so.
It is, and I always try to do something for them.
So that's $4,500 from Commissioner Singleton and $500 from Commissioner Walker for Dream Court.
Yeah, and I got the budget, Rhonda, and the director, their budget's very tight. I mean,
No,
director.
it's a great program, and that they do such a good, important work. I always
All
help them.
volunteers.
Well, y'all make me feel kind of bad. I do 500, so you,
Doug's down to 4.
Down to 4.
okay.
All right,
Boss, that might be Rebecca primary instead of intermediate. For the education?
For the principal's
Yes,
discretionary.
we'll make it primary.
All right. Consider budget change request number 3 for the county commission appropriations. Consider budget change request number 2 for the sheriff's office. Consider position fill request for the detention facility for a corrections officer trainee and a corrections officer corporal. Consider position fill request for the engineering department for a shop welder and a county road equipment operator 3. Consider a position fill request for the purchasing department for a purchasing manager. Consider a position fill request for the sheriff's office for a deputy sheriff trainee and a part-time deputy sheriff. Consider position fill request for the youth facility detention for 2 youth detention officers. Consider travel training request for finance, risk management, and community corrections. Now we'll hear from Sheriff Cunningham.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sheriff. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Morning, Sheriff.
How y'all doing?
You're asking the commission to consider the sale of a Ford Explorer K-9 unit to the Macon County Sheriff's Department office.
Oh, okay, yes.
Next agenda.
Next agenda.
And we will also hear from Regina Walker, Grants Manager.
Wait, rules.
Good morning.
Morning, Regina.
Neither one of y'all have any idea why you're here?
I do. We're here for the SCAAP grant, but I was waiting on her.
Oh, I'm
I think
sorry.
the sheriff is here.
We're here for SCAAP grant approval, so,
You want to waive rules for that? Right?
and there's no match. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't have objection, no objection.
No objection.
Thank you.
And
See, and then I go away.
also, Sheriff,
you.
there is an amendment number 3 to the contract with Kellwell Food Management for inmate food services.
Yes. Yes, we're asking that you all go ahead and, renew that for 1 year.
Next agenda.
Next agenda.
Yeah.
Now we'll hear from George Speak.
Good morning. So this item 4, it's funding agreement with the state, between the state and the county to resurface Woodley Road from Mount Zion Road northward to the city limits. And the total project cost is about 1.2 million. We've got 1 million, roughly 1 million MPO federal funds, 80%. And 252,000 county funds.
George, do we bid these jobs out?
Yes, sir, they'd be in a state letting, they're in a state letting.
In the state letting.
Yes, sir, the MPO projects, they go through the state letting.
So you don't have no say-so who do the work? in
Low
Montgomery County?
bidder, it'd be the low bidder.
Well, low bidder, but there's some other, I was looking through the contracts, and who's checking to make sure that they're living up to their responsibilities on the minority and disadvantaged business provisions of these contracts? Anybody checking that to make sure?
I know there's some, in the contract documents, Kevin, is,
It's in the contract, but who's,
Our inspectors check
who?
payroll to ensure that it's being done. We submit that to ALDOT and they further check.
How can we get information on the participation of disadvantaged businesses as defined in this contract in all this money we're spending? How can we get the numbers, the actual numbers? Okay, in terms of just how much participation we're getting. I know what's required.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem. I read what's required, but what I want to know is it happening? Because if it's not happening, it could amount to a breach of the contract that we're agreeing to uphold.
Every one of our NPO projects, federally funded projects, we have to ensure that that happens.
Well, let me, I want to see the numbers and see just what level of participation we're getting.
And we've got the matching funds budgeted in our budget,
Next
$250,000.
agenda, next agenda.
And let's see, the next item, it's also an MPO, it's a proposed MPO project to utilize their federal funds it's a resolution authorizing resurfacing of Wasden Road from the Lowndes County line northward to US 31, and also resurfacing Lamar Road from Wasden Road to US 80.
Okay.
And this is just a resolution saying y'all approve it, or we can get the project moving from here.
Okay, next agenda.
And that's about all we got.
Okay.
Next, we'll hear from Hannah Hawk.
Good morning. I do not have any events, but I did want to let you know that registration is now open for the 2021 NACO virtual conference. And that actually will be long. It's going to be March 8th through the 26th. So I believe it's going to be obviously pieced out. So, but registration is now open for that. And also, we are continuing to work on the audio with Facebook, but I believe we're doing much better. So hopefully we are moving forward with that, and everyone who is watching is able to hear us loud and clearly. That's it. Thank you.
So NACO, Hannah, NACO's going to be virtual?
Yes, it will be a virtual legislative conference. So, but it is going to be long. It's March 8th through the 26th, and then we'll feature bonus content throughout the month of April.
8
So-
to 26.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
Maybe they just do it over lunch or something every day.
but I think they're, yeah, it's just different events.
Before we hear from our other visitors, we'll finish up the items presented. There is a grant agreement with the Department of Youth Services for housing juveniles at the Montgomery County Youth Facility for Autauga, Butler, Chilton, Elmore, and Monroe counties.
That's next agenda.
Next agenda.
Then we also have as item 7, an amendment to the agreement with County Attorneys Tyrone Means and Thomas Gallion for legal services to extend that contract through the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, 2021.
Florence, did you, Ms. Jim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Did you get the actual dollar amount into the contract as
It
we
is not
discussed?
in the contract, but we will get that done. Commissioner Sankey asked that we clarify the exact amount of the retainer.
What's the purpose of the 6-month extension?
Go, the contract ends when in March.
In March.
Yeah.
This would take us through the end of the fiscal year.
And
Fine with me, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say next agenda.
Well, next agenda.
one additional thing on that, Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
may.
sir.
Regarding something in the contract required a 6-month reporting period, just to kind of appraise the commission as to what services have been provided. I don't think we've been getting that, and just would like to see if we could get those updates.
Right, we have met with the attorneys and we're working out a quarterly reporting status update on all the matters that they have before
Okay.
them.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Next, we will hear from Charity Alpert, the Executive Director of CASA.
So I have some handouts here for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. Okay.
So thank you for allowing me to be here. I've had the opportunity to speak to a few of you already, and really appreciate your support. Your heart for the children in our community is abundantly apparent. I'm really excited to be a part of bringing a program to our capital city that are coming alongside vulnerable children. If you'll see on the first page there, I've got a picture of the state and all the programs that we have here. And you'll see that Montgomery County is the newest CASA program in our state. So we're really excited to get going here. But I want you guys to know that CASA is a national program and has been around since the late 70s. So we've been established and have had studies and outcomes to show what efforts our advocates can do in coming alongside these children that are in the court system. We have over 200 children in our court system right now, really closer to 250. So obviously, our ultimate goal is to give an advocate for every child at some point. Our goal for this year is to have 25 trained volunteers put into place, which would effectively serve 50 to 75 children in our community. So what is a CASA? Let me make sure everyone understands what we do. So CASA does stand for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and we are the eyes and ears of the court out in the community. And we're actually started by a judge in Seattle, Washington, who he did not feel like he had enough information to make his life-changing decisions on these cases. And so he came up with this pilot program of training community volunteers and pairing them with the children in these cases. So that's kind of how we got started. So again, we use community volunteers, and they go through a pretty intense training. We don't just, give them like an hour or two. Like, it's 30 hours of training along with court observation, background checks. We really make sure that they're supported and that they have the knowledge they need to advocate for these children. And so our volunteers, they investigate, they get to know the child, they're visiting with the child, and wherever they're placed, whether it's relative care, foster care, group home, they're going to see that child every month. And they're finding out how they're doing in school, if they have a counselor, do they have a therapist. Because we are sworn in as a party to the case, then we are privy to all the information in the case. So we're getting all of that information so that we can assess that child's needs. And then we facilitate the resources and services for that child. So a lot of times our volunteers uncover needs that they can help address in education and health, mental health. And then we also monitor, so we track the orders of the court and the plans of DHR and make sure they're carried out by all the parties involved. And then we advocate, we speak up for the child and plead for the case of the child. And really, our CASA brings a measure of consistency to the life of this child who's otherwise characterized by constant change and uncertainty and fear. And as I said before, we have 200 children in the court system. And
Is that Montgomery County?
Yes.
200 in Montgomery County?
Yeah, it was about 230 last report, which was September, and we've added since then.
Has the courts, Montgomery County Circuit Courts bought into this
Absolutely.
in the district attorney's office?
Yes. So Judge Williams is really the one, Judge Calvin Williams, our presiding judge for family court, is really the one that pushed the state network to get a program here started. So him and Judge James have been extremely helpful. We're really excited to get her. She's a huge advocate for CASA. So we began in October. We were like officially licensed by national CASA standards in October to get going. And so we've been getting training volunteers, and we've got our first cases this year.
How
We
you
have
doing with that?
6.
How are you doing with volunteers? How many so far?
Man, I am so encouraged by our interest. I had 25 as the goal for the year, and by the end of February, we'll have 18. So
that's great.
I'm really, really encouraged by that. I think that we'll be able to have 25 going in cases by May, and then maybe by December, we'll, blow that out. But
Wow.
I'm very encouraged.
And one other question.
Yeah.
How are you funded primarily?
So and I put a copy of the budget in that handout just so you guys can see. So we are funded 85 to 90% by the VOCA grant.
which is a federal grant, and it's a pass-through grant that our state network helps us with right now. It is the very minimum we need to survive, I will tell you that. So we have to raise the remainder. We still have a deficit, even after they cover 85 to 90%. But it is my salary plus, I will tell you guys, give us free rent and utilities, which is wonderful. That's helpful. We have a place out behind the courthouse on the airbase. So that's helpful. So we don't have to pay that, but so that it pays utilities and, very little marketing, brochures, things like that. So right now, all of my volunteers are word of mouth, Facebook, Instagram. That's it.
But isn't the VOCA grant temporary? Like, maybe I misunderstood. Don't you only get that 85 to 90% VOCA grant for a year or two?
Well, we only get the pass-through, so we have to write it ourselves after that.
Oh, okay.
So
I
we
see.
have to be,
Okay.
we have to
So
have
it's
a
still
reserve.
available?
It is.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, the state they do a great job supporting us. They write the big grant. It's a big undertaking, and they pass through to us
Gotcha.
until we're kind of on our feet and can do that on our own. And so that's how that works. So they are funding me every month with a little bit left over for the next month.
Well, we appreciate you coming, Ms. Alpert. It was good to talk to you on the phone and learn more about this program, and it's wonderful that we have it in Montgomery
Yeah,
County.
absolutely.
I know, and that the judges and the DA, everybody, I mean, there's buy-in because this is a
Yeah.
proven program. So thank you for
Yeah.
coming and
Yeah, I'll
introducing yourself and explaining.
Absolutely. I'll tell you that all of our first interactions, so we've been going about a month as far as actually taking the cases. And so we've talked to, all of our DHR attorneys, our guardian ad litems, our caseworkers, and they have been very welcoming. So we're really excited to get going. Do you have any other questions?
So you have to raise roughly $15,000.
We have to raise $15,000 just to meet our budget, but in order to do that stair step to where we can get on our own, we have to have a fiscal reserve of 6 months. So right now, at this minimum budget, that's $20,000. And then we don't get any funding for our volunteer recruitment, screening, training, and retention, and that's really the bulk of, what we do. And so National CASA, they state that it's $1,200 a year that it takes per advocate, per volunteer. So if we're looking at that $1,200 times 25 for this year, that's $30,000. So I'm looking to raise this year right around 60 for the deficit, the fiscal reserve, and the volunteer training. I will tell you guys that I've wrote many grants already. And I've gone out and garnered support from a lot of different agencies. So we're working on it. We're on our way.
Well, it's definitely a much-needed program in Montgomery County, and
Yes, sir.
you can count on my support.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else? You got any questions? Did I cover everything? Great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from the Kidney Foundation.
Good morning, Commission. Thank you so much for having us here for the Alabama Kidney Foundation. I'm Becky Connolly. I am the State Director of Corporate and Community Partnerships, and I will tell you, bar none, we have no better community partner than the Montgomery County Commission, and we tell everyone. Just to let you all know, that's how much we appreciate y'all. Like we have said before, the Alabama Kidney Foundation was started in 1975. We are a well-established organization that assists patients right here in Alabama. We assist them financially and through education. And this year we have a big push for organ donation. That's also part of what we are doing. We are not involved in research. We allow UAB and the National Kidney Foundation, that we are not a part of, to do those kinds of things. We help patients where they are today. We don't teach them how to fish, we give them the fish because they need it. They need to eat today. Like I said, our fundraiser, our kidney walk is our primary fundraiser for our financial programs. We don't receive outside assistance from any national organization. The money that we raise right here in Montgomery stays in Montgomery. In the Middle Alabama area, 34% plus, give or take, is spent right here in this area. This is where the greatest need is. And that's why we appreciate you all so much and your support. I'm going to send it over to Shannon. She is your local regional director. I just wanted to be able to say thank you. I mean, really and truly, the support that we get from you all, it helps us in so many ways, not just with our programs, but to be able to show that a commission like yours is behind us means a great deal. Go, Shannon.
Yes, like Becky was saying, Montgomery County does have the greatest need out of the entire state of Alabama. Just for Montgomery County alone, you're looking at over 800 patients that are on dialysis right now. That number continues to grow as kidney disease is one of the, we're number one per capita with kidney failure in the United States, which is not something you want to be number one in. Kidney disease is contributed by a lot of different factors that obviously we also rank pretty high: diabetes, hypertension. But just in 2019, over $76,000, close to $76,000 was given to patients right here in just Montgomery County, and that number continues to grow. I receive personal phone calls every day from patients that can't afford to pay their light bill in the middle of July when it's 100 degrees outside, because they have to make the choice whether or not to use their income to, pay for that cost to get to and from dialysis, which is 3 treatments every week. And that's not something that they have a choice to do. They have to do it for survival. If not, they have to have a kidney transplant. And in the state of Alabama, we have over 300 people on a waiting list right now to receive a kidney. So hearing those phone calls every day and then having the support from you guys, we could not do it without you. Your support and your donation is given right back to these patients here in this county, and it's very much appreciated by those patients and their families. Once again, we also assist the families, because if they can't get themselves to dialysis, they do have to have somebody to get them there. If they can't get public transportation, they have to rely on a family member or friend to get them to dialysis, because like I said before, they have to get to those treatments. They don't have a choice. So we do appreciate your support. And actually, a few years ago when we met with you, you actually encouraged us to start reaching out to other neighboring counties. And I would like to thank you and give my appreciation for that support and suggestion. We used you guys as an example. And this year we did receive support from Lee County, which is one of the top 5 counties in this region for Middle Alabama. The other are Dallas County, Butler County. The highest numbers in the state, like Becky and I have said, is right here in this area. So we do appreciate that, and we appreciate you guys being the trailblazers and being somebody that we could tell other counties that we get support from Montgomery County, and we really need it from you as well, and that definitely helped us, so we appreciate that.
Okay.
Any letter y'all are willing to sign to any other commission in the state, just let me know. I would love to send it to you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
We know renal disease is certainly prevalent, particularly amongst the minority population, and with all the chronic diseases associated with that. In terms of the education that you all are doing for organ donations, I know oftentimes some of the patients have allowed the chronic diseases to advance to a stage where they are not qualified. They don't meet the criteria for the organ donation. So are you all doing anything to educate them prior to them getting to that stage?
Well, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, every year we host a kidney education conference in every region. Obviously, this past year in 2020, we're not able to have that. Once again, kidney disease patients are very high risk with COVID-19, so we had to put their health and safety concerns in the #1 priority. So we shifted gears and reached out to a local production company, advertising agency, and was able to put together 5 different education videos that we've been able to share not only on our website, but house them on YouTube and push those out to all the kidney patients and their families. So actually, the pandemic we were kind of forced to do something different, and I think that this is something better for us in the long term because one of those topics is organ transplant. And we were able to reach out to one of the lead doctors at UAB to be the speaker on that topic. So these videos are anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes in length, and we also made sure that we included a former kidney dialysis patient that had received a kidney as a donor from either their loved ones or maybe even some of them had 2 kidney transplants. So we wanted to have those education videos include a kidney transplant patient or a kidney, former dialysis patient. So they were able to speak to that person watching the video. Instead of just having the specialist discuss what they needed to do, they were they were talking back and forth, engaging with the person that's watching it, just because we wanted them to know that we wanted them to have a speaker that was a specialist, but to also have a kidney transplant patient that has been through that journey before.
And also this year, I will tell you, because I work throughout the state, we are having a cohesive transplant message throughout our kidney walks. We're fortunate that the CEO of UAB, Dr. Fernani, is our walk chair in Birmingham, and along with him are the patients, one of the wives of one of the leading surgeons there that passed away this year, part of his legacy. So we're going to have a patient chair in every area. We're partnering with the Legacy of Hope and that transplant center to get the word out about organ donation, the need, and the process through this message, through the messaging throughout each walk. It will also include social media where patients will come on that have had transplants, givers, donors, and recipients, families, people that are on the waiting list. There's lots of options now for transplant. So that is the message that we are trying to advocate for this year, and we are super excited to do that.
Okay, we thank you for what you do and what you're going to do, and I'm pretty sure you'll be hearing from us soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
You're on the agenda.
Yeah, one last question. I want to clarify the transportation. Do you all actually offer transportation? Do you have a transportation network? Because I know a lot of patients need that, and we appreciate you very much. Or is it just that you give vouchers? I think we need to clarify that, please.
We don't give vouchers, and we don't have vans, so we're somewhere in the middle. We've looked into having vans, but because of the schedules of dialysis, that would take up so much of our funding to be able to support an actual van program. That's very expensive. What we do is we send actual checks the patients can depend on every single month that cover that transportation to and from dialysis so they can stay within their treatment regimen. And if they don't stay within that regimen, they will be considered non-compliant, and they may not be able to receive a transplant. There are so many factors that go into it, but this is the way that has worked the best for our patients throughout the state. So it's not a voucher, it is an actual tangible check.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We got to move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Mr. Duncan, President and CEO of Montgomery Housing Authority.
Good morning,
Good morning.
esteemed chairman, honorable members of the commission. I do not come this morning bearing gifts and umbrellas. I apologize. But I thank you for the opportunity to meet the commissioners that we haven't met already. And just to give you an update on the state of affairs for the Housing Authority, Currently, we're in a hybrid Phase 1 and Phase 2 form of operations where we're administering our programs. We have received CARES Act funds, and we've been very diligent and responsible in the administration of those funds. We're investing in technology. We're paying hazard pay for our maintenance men, investing in PPE and a number of things that a lot of other organizations are investing in. However, some of the constraints of our care funds lie in the fact that we can't assist our families in their arrearage. You all know that there is currently an extended eviction moratorium in terms of families that are not paying rent. And so we have just a few numbers that we've prepared for you. There are approximately 14% of our 1,100 public housing households that are in arrears, and those arrears range from $400 to $3,000, totaling in $96,000, just under $100,000 of tenant accounts receivables that the Housing Authority is currently burdened with. And we understand that the county will be administering, or is in the process of administering, its form of stimulus funds to assist families in the area, and we certainly like to be considered for that. In addition to that, we wanted to update the commission on the fact that the Housing Authority, in partnership with the city of Montgomery, is the recipients of a Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant, an extremely competitive grant application targeting the Centennial Hill neighborhood, of which, from a Housing Authority standpoint, Patterson Court is the focus. I want to thank Commissioner Sankey for coming out. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development came and presented the board. Dr. Knight is the chairman of our board. He's with us today. Presented us with a large check, and they were very proud of the fact that Montgomery is one of only 11 cities in the country to receive a planning grant award. And we're looking forward to not only administering that award and working with the city, but working with the county as well, because it's going to require a collaborative effort in order to secure the $30 million that is at the end of the rainbow to help revitalize the Centennial Hill area. And finally, we wanted to, try to read my own writing here. We wanted to thank Chairman Dean for the opportunity. We've had a couple of conversations with the chairman. He invited us to come and meet the commission today. So I wanted to thank him personally for the opportunity, and any question that you may have, we're open for you. And we're looking forward to reporting back to the commission on the progress of the Housing Authority periodically or on an as-needed basis.
Mr. Duncan, again, we would welcome you here. And I see Chairman Knight out there, but this has been something that always burned my heart. We talk about Patterson Court. I was told, I don't know if it's true now, that Patterson Court is the oldest housing authority, the oldest projects in the United States. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've always been an advocate that wanted moved from over there at Alabama State University with all the good things that have been going on over there. I know that, I think in Jackson, Mississippi, around Jackson State, they moved those units from away from around that campus. So any plans to do that for Patterson Court? And you just do some renovations?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question into the mic a little bit?
Oh, I wasn't in the mic. Are there any plans to move Patterson Court? I know you got to have some property or something, some other housing. I think it ought to be moved away from Alabama State University over there.
Well, at this point, the planning grant is just that, for the community to come together in the Housing Authority and the city to facilitate a planning process. And part of that planning is we'll invest in highest and best use studies. We'll do environmental impact, ultimately to determine what is the best use in terms of the revitalization of Patterson Court. Is it to revitalize on the current footprint? Is it to build in surrounding communities, surrounding neighborhoods? build smaller housing. That's to be determined by the studies that the planning grant is designed to invest in. So we can't say at this point, someone asked a question, well, Mr. Duncan, what's your vision for Patterson Court? My vision is that the families have the best quality housing that is possible. What that looks like is for the community to determine and the community stakeholders.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Duncan?
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Included in your packet is a letter from the Samaritan Counseling Center requesting funding. Just wanted to make you aware of that and ask if you want to have them visit, or
Who was that now?
Samaritan Counseling Center.
What about it?
They submitted a request.
Yeah, 20,000 last year.
But it's, I mean, we've been doing it, I don't know. I think they get to a point where they're gonna be expecting it every year, and that's something that we've been trying to avoid. I don't think we can continue to do it.
For long, so they submitted a budget, updated budget for us.
No, we've not requested an updated.
Could you request that?
Certainly.
I'd like to see that.
Okay.
They're trying to ease into our budget.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
What else you got?
I believe that covers everything on our agenda for the information session.
Okay.
Okay, for a 4-minute recess. We'll take a 4-minute recess before the formal session.